as far as this numbers debate goes, where do you sit? On the legal or the political side of things?
Thank you, Vicky. And before I come there, I give you which side I sit. I just want to clear up one issue. My panelists here, they are in the Azimio coalition. I'm in the Kenya Kwanza coalition. And the fact that there are some members of the Azimio moving to UDA Kenya Kwanza faction, that tells us something, and it's coming immediately after the election. It says something that even before the ink of those agreements gets dry, members are moving to Kenya Kwanza. That tells something that those agreements were done through intimidation, they were done through coercion, and it was not voluntary. And that tells him that the bedrock of those agreements were shaky and suspicious. Number two, Chapter 4 of the Constitution gives everybody a Bill of Rights and the freedom of association, and that supersedes any other contract, any other agreement with anybody. They are free to come and join Kenya Kwanza. And I will tell you here, as a Secretary Church of Legal Affairs, we are not offering them any incentives. They are coming purely because they have found that the manifesto of UDA party and Kenya Kwanza it's superior, and therefore they want in the next political dispensation to work with us. Just to answer me, Fred, here on the issue about the parliamentary agenda. Members of parliament do not work in a vacuum. They are there to push the manifesto under which they were elected. And therefore, by pushing that agenda, that does not mean they become subservient to the executive. It means that their legislative agenda is well tied to the executive because they are the ones who have been able to put that government in place. Coming to the numbers, because again, these numbers, I guess you have seen, is 157, again 168, then 176, again 178. I would say these numbers are still shifting. And from where I sit, for me, I'm a practical legislator. Once we go to Parliament, the moment we make a call, remember, this is a game of persuasion. You must persuade people. Even the people who are already as Muriu, they are not also tied down there. You may find that if you go to Parliament and the first agenda be the election of the Speaker, and we are able to persuade even the Azimio diehards to vote for a candidate, there is no harm with that. He does not become a lesser speaker, or he does not become invalidated by being elected by people from different sides. So for me, I want to remain very practical. I want to remain take a very persuasive position. We are not slaves of the law. And the moment you are able to persuade the people that our speaker will be more impartial in terms of pushing the national agenda forward, then be it. So for me, yes, there is a legal provision, but again, I want to be very, very practical when it comes to matters of the Parliament.
You know, Honourable Bui, I saw you smirking as you heard Honourable Muriu talk about why several of those members of Parliament moved over to Kenya Kwanza. And, you know, it brings up the question as to, I mean, defections are not new. They've been happening in the political space for a long time. But there's a fear that there's a death of ideology as a result of these defections. And when will we ever, as a country, politically get to that place of ideas? And what impact does that have on the electorate? You know, there's this perception that Parliament is a house of interests, not of the people. So how do we kind of shift that conversation or that narrative?
Yeah, first, thank you. And first, allow me, you know, it's been very amusing listening to the legal secretary of the UDA party, the honorable member for Gatanga. I mean, he says that just after some people were elected to Parliament, they suddenly realized that the manifesto of Kenya Kwanza was superior to the one of Azimio. And yet they had all this opportunity to know what Azimio stood for and what Kenya Kwanza stood for. So doesn't that already, really paint a negative picture of that kind of leadership? That you've been here campaigning for the last 3-4 months on a platform of one political party, and then suddenly you realize that after you've just won the election, that this other party was more superior. The reality is this, that this happened immediately after the announcement by Chebukati of the president-elect. I mean, that's why I'm saying that these members seem to forget the purpose for which they were elected. They think that you must be, very close to the person who is the president for you to deliver on the promise. The issue is that, and the fact is that you just need to do your job as a member of parliament, and that would be good enough. Now, he also did say that we cannot be slaves of the law. And my friend Honorable Muriu, you are a legislator now. How can you talk about being a slave of the law? Yet you are the one who's supposed to make laws and ensure that these laws are followed, because really, at the end of the day, we make laws that are supposed to be for posterity. The issue of the Political Parties Act, telling or trying to contain political leaders within their political formations is just a matter of good manners, so that you can be able to know exactly who believes in what and how do we work together. If we allow every member to wake up every day and choose where they will go and how they will operate, then we're going to have chaos. So it's important that those things are made clear. But having said that, I think as a country we need to move to the direction that Victoria, you have raised, which is to be able as a country to have ideas that we can compete with. And I saw a lot of that in these last elections, these last campaigns. We as Azimio One Kenya, we had a lot of ideas, a lot of things that we promised that we'll be able to do. We looked at the struggle that Kenyans go through in education. You look at, parents pay fees all the way from ECD classes, because most counties haven't got any ECD teachers paid by the county governments. So parents have to pay enough fees to be able to pay these teachers. You go to primary school, even though primary education is free, there's a lot of things that parents are still paying for. Other than uniform and clothes, they'll pay for the examinations, they'll pay for activities, they'll pay for school trips. That is a lot of money coming out of these parents. Secondary fees, again, also has issues. So we looked at all that and we thought that it's important to try and reduce the burden on parents by providing actual free education. So there are certain things. They said that, on the other hand, that, and we also said as Azimio that those families that are hard hit by poverty, we'll provide them a stipend so that they can be able to manage their affairs. Because, I mean, it is very unfortunate to see a family that goes hungry in this century when we have a government in place and we have, people are paying taxes in this country. So we came up with ideas that would have been able to carry the country forward. On the other hand, Kenya Kwanza also had some good ideas. Yep. So I think on this particular one, there was a lot of ideologies that were being fronted. But the problem now is the leaders themselves. Why can't we stick to our ideas and stop jumping ship just because somebody else has won? That would be my only take on that.